I drove a bus for 23 years, nights mostly. Same route, same stops, same streets that look completely different once the sun goes down. You pull to the curb, the hiss of the doors, a quick glance at the fare box, and then back out into the road. It's repetitive work, but not in a bad way. There's a kind of comfort in knowing where you're going, even if you don't know who's getting on next. My name is Ray Donovan, and after 23 years on that bus, I learned something simple. Most passengers get on, ride for a while, and then they get off. And then, there are others. Story 1. The man in the back. It was one of those quiet nights where the city feels like it's already asleep, even though it isn't. I was running the North Line, the stretch that cuts through the older part of town. By the time I hit the middle section, I had 2 passengers left. Then, I pulled up to a stop near an empty strip. A flickering street light made the whole corner look like it was lagging a second behind itself. And then I saw him. Hoodie pulled up, hands in his pockets, head angled down just enough that I couldn't see his face. He stepped on, dropped exact fare into the box, 1 coin at a time, like he was counting carefully. Then he walked straight down the aisle and took the very last seat. A minute later, I heard it. Breathing. Not loud at first, just enough to cut through the engine noise when the bus slowed. I checked the mirror. He was leaning forward, shoulders rising and falling, a little too hard. Then the woman halfway down the bus stood up and moved closer to the front. She didn't say a word. People don't. They just move. And that's when I checked the mirror again. He had slid off the seat. Not fallen, slid down between the seats. 1 arm braced against the floor. His back started moving differently, not rising and falling, jerking, like something underneath his skin was pulling in the wrong directions. I stopped the bus. He stood, but not like a person getting up. His back came first, hunched and uneven, 1 shoulder higher than the other. Head down, chin tucked like it was too heavy to lift. And he was bigger than he'd been when he got on, not by a little, enough that the top of his hoodie brushed the overhead bar. I eased the bus forward to the next stop, hit the rear door release, and he moved. Fast, covering the distance in 1 motion, out through the back doors before I could even turn to track him. I closed the doors. Nobody spoke. In the time he was on that bus with me, whatever he was, he changed. Story 2. The quiet woman. She was waiting just off to the side of the sign, not directly under it. Most people stand right under the pole without thinking. She didn't. She paid without looking down, walked to a seat halfway down on the left, the section where the overhead light had burned out months ago. Always sat in a kind of shadow. A few stops later, a man got on, loud type, dropped into the seat right next to her. "So, you heading to work?" he asked. No response. "Long night, huh?" Still nothing. And that's when I noticed the first thing that didn't sit right. She hadn't moved, not even a little. Not the kind of stillness you get when someone's ignoring you. It was exact. Like her posture hadn't shifted a single fraction since she sat down. The bus hit a small dip in the road. For a second, I lost the view in the mirror. When it leveled out, the man was slumped, head tilted sideways against the window. She was sitting upright again. Same position, hands folded, facing forward. Then I saw it, a thin line of blood running down the side of his neck, disappearing into the collar of his shirt. Before I reached a full stop at the next block, she stood and walked to the front. As she got close, I could see her face clearly, completely normal. But her eyes, they looked locked. She stopped just behind a line near my seat. For a second, neither of us said anything. Then she looked right at me. No panic, no guilt, just awareness. Like she knew exactly what I had seen. And then, very slightly, she smiled. I opened the doors. She stepped off. Story 3, The Sick Man. It was raining. Not heavy, but steady enough to keep the windshield busy. He was standing off the side of the road, no shelter. Just out in the rain, arm raised. Up close. He did not look right. Pale. Skin tight across his face like it didn't quite fit. His hands shook when he dropped the coins in. He didn't sit. Just stood halfway down the aisle, one hand resting on the back of a seat, head down. Then I heard the breathing, uneven, each breath in a little too fast, out a little too slow. His hand slipped from the seat. He dropped to one knee, then his back arched. And then, slowly, he pushed himself upright, like his body had to remember how to do it. I pulled in at the next stop, hit the door release. He walked out into the rain without looking back. Later, one of the passengers came forward quietly. When he fell, they said, "Did you see his shoulder?" I glanced at them. What about it? They hesitated. It looked like he'd been bitten. I didn't answer. I just kept driving. Story 4, The Woman in the Dress. There was a stop on one of my shorter routes that always felt a little off. One side, old houses set back too far from the road. The other side, a long, dark stretch of sidewalk with a single street lamp that didn't reach far enough. She stepped out of the dark just outside that lamp's reach, like she'd been waiting for exactly the right moment to be seen. Her dress stood out immediately. Light color, simple, old-fashioned, not worn, just not something you'd expect at that hour. She sat halfway down the right side, hands in her lap, facing forward. A minute in, I glanced at the rear view, and I saw it. An axe, buried above her temple, handle angled back. No blood, no movement, no reaction from her. I looked away. Told myself, bad angle, reflection, a trick of the mirror. I checked again. Gone. Her head was completely normal. A few minutes later, her seat was empty. No stop, no sound, no door opening. She was just gone. Days later, I mentioned that stop to another driver. He looked at me for a second and said, "You ever hear what happened there?" I shook my head. He leaned back. Years ago, there was a woman on that block. Name was Clara Voss. Her husband killed her, real bad. Argument got out of hand. He grabbed an axe, got her right in the head. I nodded once, like it was just another story. But I remembered her. I remembered the dress. And I remembered the axe. Story 5. The doctor. Late shift. Quiet route. Maybe 2 passengers on board. Then I saw him in the road, waving both arms. Not the casual kind. Desperate. I opened the doors. He rushed forward, half turning back as he did. "Please, I need help." Then I saw her, just behind him. One hand gripping his arm, the other pressed against her stomach. Face tight with pain, breathing sharp and uneven. "She's in labor," he said. "We're not gonna make it." "Get her on," I said. I didn't hesitate. St. John's Hospital was 10 minutes away. But she couldn't wait 10 minutes. And then, from the back of the bus, a voice. "I'm a doctor." I looked up in the mirror. A man I hadn't noticed before, near the back. Older, maybe 70s. Gray hair under a flat cap, old coat. He stood up without any rush. "Name's Graham," he said as he walked forward. "Let's take a look." There was something about him that settled the air immediately. I just drove, kept the bus as smooth as I could, took turns wide, eased off the brakes early. His voice stayed steady the whole time. No panic. None. And then, everything went quiet. Just for a second. And then, a baby crying. It filled the bus in a way nothing else had that night. "Healthy," Graham said. "You've got a healthy baby." The husband kept thanking him over and over. Graham just gave a small nod. We were coming up on the next stop. He stood, adjusted his coat, walked up the aisle, caught my eye, and gave me a small wink. I opened the doors. He stepped off. Outside, the street was empty. A light fog rolled across the road, low to the ground. I watched him through the windshield. He walked forward at that same steady pace, stepped into the fog. His outline softened, faded, and then he was gone. I finished out my years on that route. Same streets, same stops, same routine. Most nights faded the way everything does, but not all of it. There are a few nights that stayed sharp, like they never really settled into the past. I still think about Graham more than any of them, not because it scared me. It didn't. It's because that night could have gone a different way, and somehow, it didn't. He was just there, calm, steady, did what needed to be done. And then he was gone. After everything I'd seen, all the strange things, all the quiet things that didn't make sense, all the nights where something bad happened, that one was different. There's a lot of strange out there, a lot of things you can't explain, a lot of bad. But after I saw him, I remembered. There is good too.